Players may be falling down, players may be reacting to a call, but then to me, if they're not fooling the referees, it's like, okay, that's like the players are taught to sell calls these days. I mean, can officiating get bad? Can officiating get better? Of course. We're always working on that. Can officials get fooled occasionally? We're always looking at that as well.
Occasionally.
But the officiating is incredible.
There it is, guys. There it is. So now watch as he pivots to how great the refs are. All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. Hope you all are having a good day so far. So I had a member's request to check this video out, and I think it's perfect timing. This video came out about a week ago, and this one's titled, Why Hasn't the NBA Fixed Flopping? And the reason why I think this is important right now is because I believe this coincided right at the time where we saw Adam Silver do that, podcast with, what the hell's his name? Pat McAfee, Matt McAfee, and we saw him completely deflect all of the accusations of flopping and how much of a problem it is. He basically just deflected it and said there's a difference between selling contact and flopping, which I totally agree with, which is funny because it's something I say all the time in my videos, but he's got it so wrong. Selling contact, obviously, I'll make this quick. Selling contact is getting hit and then, basically making it a little more spectacular of a hit. But you still got hit. There's still actual contact there. You still got fouled. What we're complaining about is, it's the typical flopping, the no contact, no one's touching you, you're still falling down, you're still acting like you got hit. There's never any hit. So I disagree with them wholeheartedly. The real question is, why is he doing this? Because everybody else knows that this is a problem. How is it possible that the guy in charge, the commissioner of the NBA, is the only person who can't see it? That brings us to the next step. Why is it happening? Because this is by design. So this video from, how do you pronounce it? Kip Kame, I believe. Kip Kame 11. Why hasn't the NBA fixed flopping? That means there's a bigger reason, you guys. There's a reason why Adam Silver wants to keep this in the game. And we all can speculate. I'm sure you guys are going to do it in the comments. I have my own things that I'm wondering about. And for me, it has to do with all the gambling and the gambling apps and the partnerships that they have now. I believe that there's zero incentive to clean up the game because the more confusing the game is to us viewers and the players, the easier it is to fix. You know what I mean? Confuse us, and then there's nothing we can do. We'll just be debating about, that was a flop. No, it wasn't a flop. Adam Silver says it wasn't. Well, blah, blah, blah. Back and forth we go. It's the bread and circuses kind of thing. So anyways, you guys, long intro out of the way. That's why I wanted to do this. Thank you for the request from the member section. I'm going to link the original video down below in the description like I always do. You also see a list of channel members. Shout out to you guys. This one's for you. Like the video if you could. It helps out a lot. I'd appreciate it. Guys, let's do it. But before we go, put your comment in, you guys. Like why do you think Adam Silver is ignoring this? Why do you think he's letting it happen? Because I think we can all agree on that at this point, right? This is not a mistake. This is by design. So why? All right, here we go.
The Oklahoma City Thunder in these playoffs were under major controversy. At the helm is two-time MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the 6'6" smart, shifty guard who's able to bend the game to his will. Or, as some might say, the whistle to his will.
This segment that's going to call Life Alert with SGA.
Okay. But what if I told you?
Oh, that's where you guys got it. I saw that in the comments, too. Yep, I've fallen and I can't get up.
That this is exactly what the NBA wants. That it's not going to fix this anytime soon because it's actually good for the NBA. Well, find out what the hell I'm talking about this time on Kip Kame 11.
Sorry, OKC fans. I'm so glad you guys
lost. The darling OKC Thunder team were the team to cheer for as a casual fan just 2 years ago. As a small market team who quote-unquote built the team the right way.
Yeah. Just last season, I was torn between Indiana and OKC. But that was before I really took a good look at OKC. Before that, like the narrative-wise, it was like, dude, small market versus small market. I'd be happy for either of them. In hindsight, I can't believe I did that. Like I should have been cheering for Indiana all the way. But Yeah, I at that point I was just going with the motions and not really analyzing OKC and their style of play too much. I just saw a team that played good offensively and good defensively. But then when I started looking deeper this year, especially this season, I've been disgusted at what I see.
By a silky smooth guard, who was a castaway salvaged from a heap of capital that the Thunder received from the scrapping of their failed dynasty experiments. This team was young, fun, and believe it or not, ethical. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is once a time in this world where SGA was seen as an ethical player. In an era of threes being jacked up left and right, SGA brought the mid-range back to life. The mid-range was forsaken no more, and people called him ethical for it.
And I wanted to be an SGA fan because of that reason. Because somebody was actually killing it in the mid-range. Same reason why I used to really like Kawhi Leonard until he stopped showing up for games. Until last year, where he got in trouble, and now he's showing up to games again. I can't figure that guy out.
There were murmurs that began to bubble up. It started in January of 2024, after the Minnesota Timberwolves suffered a 102-107 loss to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder, where Shai had 33 points on 12 made free throws.
It's hard to, man, with the calls that Shai gets. It's hard. It's hard to shut him down. You can't touch him at any time of the game, so it's super hard to beat. That team is a good team, especially when you get calls like that.
Nobody took any.
Well said. I like how he said it. He was respectful, and at the same time, he was like, yeah, you can't touch him. So it's hard to beat that.
Seriously, though, since the free throw differential between the Thunder and the Wolves was about 6.
The more OKC games I was watching, and just like the eye test versus the stat sheet, is where I learned that there's some discrepancy going on because a lot of people just look at the stats, right? So if a casual looks at a stat sheet and sees, oh, well, OKC only got like 15 free throws today. Well, Minnesota got 14, so it's not that big of a deal. No, it's not that, you guys. You don't get a free throw every time you flop, okay? You get a foul, you get a foul, you get a foul, you get a foul. Now we're in the bonus. Now you get a free throw every time. So the thing is there's multiple flops being called that you're not seeing on a stat sheet because those are just regular fouls building up to that. And then when we get to the fourth quarter and the last 2 minutes of a game, and you see OKC on the free throw line constantly, this is the game plan. This is how they get there, but you're not going to see it just straight up on a stat sheet, free throws versus free throws, because it's different. A guy could be, say SGA could be driving to the basket, no intention on shooting, but he's still going to get the flop call, not even on a shot. Okay, so that's inbound the ball, one more heading, one more in the momentum of heading towards the penalty. And that's how it's done. You're getting other people in foul trouble. You're also, if you're getting bailed out of bad shots, or you're trapped and you have nowhere to go because they're actually playing good defense on you, and then you flop, and then you get to take the ball out of bounds. These are the ways that flopping is working in OKC's favor. It's not just the free throws, you guys. Even though it's really fun to call him free throw merchant, it goes deeper.
And N had bricked 3 free throws in the clutch. Plus, Shai the Orman had a crispy caption to clap back, so all was well. But Anthony Edwards had a point. That season, Shai was second only to Giannis Antetokounmpo in free throw attempts. N's head coach, Chris Finch, mentioned that Shai doesn't get enough contact to facilitate a foul, yet somehow he's averaging 15 free throws a game.
Yeah, and at least Giannis, he's big, and he's playing big most of the time. So guess what happens, down there in the paint? Yeah, you get hit a lot. So that would make a lot more sense. Basically, in other words, back in the day, you'd see, say, Shaquille O'Neal take a lot more free throws in a game than John Stockton, right?
This was still the up-and-coming Thunder, so there wasn't much to hate on them for that moment. They had lost to the Dallas Mavericks in the second round, so there really wasn't much to talk about except for how bad the refs were. The next season, the Thunder came rolling, finishing the regular season 68-14, and giving Shai Gilgeous-Alexander his first ever MVP. But if you remember from last year's playoffs, MVP weren't the only chance that Shai was getting.
Minnesota needed some size here for the
With the Thunder emerging from the underdog status, that meant that they're going to be placed under the microscopic lens of scrutiny that comes with the best. I'd liken it to getting into a relationship with someone that you eventually end up hating. What were once minor red flags suddenly became major irritations. For the Thunder, what was smart and even ethical became gimmicky and not real basketball.
Agreed.
And of course, you got the
Well said, by the way. That's how I felt. OKC, they felt refreshing in the moment. I guess that was the honeymoon phase, and then I started noticing all this bad behavior that I can't support. So yeah, then I didn't think I was gonna get to this point with how I feel about OKC, but how I feel now about them really got established with them flopping their way out of the first round this year. To beat the lowly Phoenix Suns, who didn't have a single chance in hell to beat the defending champion, OKC Thunder. And they flopped like freaking Dolphins the entire series just to beat us. That's when I decided I'm out for blood. A champion doing that is embarrassing. That is embarrassingly unethical basketball.
that is Lou Dort. There was a lot to like and not to like about the Thunder team, but the more time we spent with them, the harder it got to tolerate the bad. I made a video on my thoughts about Shai's playstyle about a year ago now, and coming back around now, it feels like those same sentiments that we had last year are only intensifying. We're in the stage where we want to break up with this Thunder team, but we can't because they're gonna keep on coming. So we're gonna end up hating them even more. I was at game 2 of the Western Conference Finals between the Spurs and the Thunder.
Nice.
And it was a phenomenal time. I haven't had a sporting experience like that ever in my life.
Dude, I bet.
I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
That would be fun, man. Anybody who's getting to watch any of these NBA Finals games too, like, man, y'all are lucky. That looks like a fun atmosphere.
I went to Arrowhead. Once upon a time, I was an OKC fan because of my relative proximity as a Kansas City resident and affection for another basketball ex, Russell Westbrook, who I used to hate, but now I wish well.
Yeah, ironically, I've always liked OKC too since their inception. I used to be a KD fan. I used to love Russ. Like, I loved the young team they had out there, and I was rooting for them. And then when they lost all their stars, I was always hoping they'd come back alive. And that's why I was happy for them when they were successful again. They rebuilt successfully. Great team. But it's just the flopping I can't get behind.
During that second game, I started to feel this peculiar feeling as I witnessed the Thunder play, more particularly Chet Holmgren. For some reason, when Chet made a good play, it irritated me. I almost hated the fact that he was doing well. In fact, I wanted him to do bad, which led me to reflect. I might actually hate Chet Holmgren on the basketball court.
Yeah,
he
I
was
think you do.
Slightly annoying to me back in the day, but now I wanted him to be dominated.
Okay, I've always been a Chet hater. Since the first time I ever saw him play. For me, he as an old head, he represents everything that's wrong with big men today. And I think Wemby successfully exploited that in the Western Conference Finals. Like, your biggest man should not be your weakest man. That's just not how it's supposed to go, you guys. You're supposed to be big and strong. And if you're short, you're fast. You know, like that's the thing. You got the quickness and you got the fast hands and the fast legs. But if you're big, you're supposed to be slower, but you're way stronger and durable, you know? That's not Chet. Chet's the weakest guy on the court all the time. I can't get behind it, and I'm glad he finally got exposed. I mean, imagine like a David. I mean, we got a glimpse at it with Wemby, but even beyond Wemby, imagine an old school big, David Robinson, a Patrick Ewing, a Shaquille O'Neal, okay? Something like this against a Chet. What would happen? He'd be out of the league, like, immediately, you know? Gain 50 pounds of muscle, get stronger, or else get the hell out of here, dude. Go to some amateur league.
New kid on the block, Wembanyama.
And for those of you who didn't notice, after game 1, I think really the first half of game 1, he didn't guard Wemby for the rest of the series. Gee, I wonder why.
As the series went on, I began to realize that outside of Shai, I didn't really like any of them. J-Dub and McCain are too corny. Hartenstein grabs too much. And Chet's just way too soft.
I still like Caruso, but I don't know. By next year, I don't know if I will, man. Because, you know, the rest of the team's habits are going to inevitably rub off on him. And I'm starting to already see signs. I like Caruso. I've always liked Caruso. So that's the only one I'm holding on to still in OKC that I'm like, yeah, I support that guy.
Where are you going with this, Kip? You're definitely asking. This isn't what I subscribe to watch. By the way, if you're not sub, please do. 100K by summer, that's what we're looking for. Just stay with me. What if I told you that this is the exact type of environment that Adam Silver and the NBA is trying to cultivate?
Okay, here we go.
What started as a positive watching experience turned negative and eventually became hate watching. Adam Silver, in lieu of the Eastern Conference Finals Game 5 being played due to the Cleveland Cavaliers being the sorriest roster to ever make a conference finals in the history of the NBA, stopped on the Pat McAfee show to get glazed and to ask general status questions about what's going on in the league. McAfee, thanks to the incendiary discourse that's taken the league by storm by way of Thunder, dutifully asked the NBA's commissioner about the state of flopping.
Flopping, big conversation, Mr. Commissioner.
So, yeah, it's been a conversation. I would only say that there's a difference between selling a call, exaggeration, and a true flop, which
That's it, guys. That's what I was talking about in the intro. There it is.
is where you're actually fooling the referees. I think sometimes even as I sit in the stands at games, players may be falling down, players may be reacting to a call, but then to me, if they're not fooling the referees, it's like, okay, that's like the players are taught to sell calls these days. I mean,
Okay, but what about the flip side of that coin, Adam? But what about when they do successfully trick the referees? You're talking about when they don't. We're complaining about when they do trick the referees because it happens very often. You can't just brush it aside like that and be like, well, sometimes they don't trick them, so it's not that bad. Okay, what if I 100 people try to rob a different grocery stores across the nation all at once, but some of them got caught. Are we just gonna forget about all the ones who got away with it? What the fuck are we talking about here?
Get bad.
It's not a problem. Only 60% of them got away with robbing it. No, we're fine. We're fine. Business as usual, guys. We caught 40% of them, so we're good.
Officiating get better, of course. We're always
Sorry,
working
let
on
me back this up, and I'll shut up.
referees. Maybe fooling the referee, selling a call, and it's been a conversation.
Okay, here we go.
Big conversation, Mr. Commissioner.
So, yeah, it's been a conversation. I would only say that there's a difference between selling a call, exaggeration, and a true flop, which is where you're actually fooling the referees. I think sometimes even as I sit in the stands at games, players may be falling down, players may be reacting to a call, but then to me, if they're not fooling the referees, it's like, okay, that's like the players are taught to sell calls these days. I mean, can officiating get bad? Can officiating get better? Of course. We're always working on that. Can officials get fooled occasionally? We're always looking at that as well.
Occasionally.
But the officiating is incredible.
There it is, guys. There it is. So now watch as he pivots to how great the refs are. The opposite of what we were hoping for with this. When I saw Pat call him out on this, I'm like, oh, he has to address it. So no, first he dismissed the fact that, oh, it only happens sometimes, so don't worry about it, you guys, which is false. Then he also is saying there's a difference between flopping and selling a call, which is true, but not in the way he's saying, not even close. Now watch what he does, because what were we doing? We were calling for either Adam Silver's head or we were calling for the refs' heads. You know, but we're saying the refs are making these bad calls because Adam Silver is allowing it, right? Now, watch as Adam Silver enables the refs. And you can see this is going straight to the top. This problem is at the top, okay? It's him. It's all him. Here it is.
Occasionally, we're always looking at that as well. But the officiating is incredible. I will also add one other piece to
After this, Mr. Silver yaps on about how we're going to get a VAR for out-of-bounds plays.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, so he goes on about how the refs are great, how... I'll just leave it at that. The refs are great. The flopping's not bad. That's a summary of this. And then for the rest of this whole interview, he talks about how AI technology is going to be incorporated to make some of the basic calls easier. For instance, did he step out of bounds? Okay, AI can figure that out real fast. You know, did the ball touch out of bounds? You can figure that out real fast. Stuff like that. Did we get the shot off before the shot clock? Easy to find out with AI. That's what he was doing. It was a sales pitch, you guys. He didn't come here to confront anything. He came here to sell us the idea that AI is going to take the NBA to the next level. Just like any other big tech company in the entire world right now, the commissioner of the NBA is just ignoring problems and selling us on an AI future. Yeah, let that sink in for a second, okay? Whew.
But there's two very important statements that I want to hone in on. Number one.
Players are taught to sell calls these days.
Number two.
The officiating is incredible.
These statements that Adam Silver made are probably the most problematic that he could have said at this current moment, and he said them within a span of 10 seconds. Number one, he flat out admitted that his players are being taught how to fool officials as a fundamental part of the game. And then right after, calls a very unpopular
shout out to RDC.
Officiating incredible. And Adam, no, it's not. I mean, it's quite literally on the heels of a game where a missed goaltend and a missed out-of-bounds call benefiting the Thunder ended up with Shea taking 3 free throws. But enough of that. Because in this interview, I think that Adam Silver is hinting at something deeper than what he's saying on the surface, as he talks about AI and personal experiences like he has been for the past half decade. There's a missing truth to all of this. The solution to flopping is very, very simple. You give a player some harsh penalty and it stops. There's no more flopping in the NBA because the incentives of a successful foul call can be outweighed by the potential consequences if you get caught.
Yeah, and Kip, that they're supposed to be major consequences for flopping. The rules are in place, but he refuses to enforce them. I've said it a lot, and I'm sorry for repeating it, but it needs to be said because I see so many comments every day that are saying we need some harsher punishments for flopping. Guys, it's already in place. We just don't enforce it. You're supposed to get a technical foul and a fine for flopping. When was the last time you saw anybody get a technical foul, let alone a fine for flopping? Guys, I've never seen it. It's never happened, and this rule's been in play for years. And how many times did we see flopping just in this one series? Not this, but the even say the OKC versus the Suns. How many times did we see flopping from OKC? Probably 30 times throughout the series, maybe 40 times. So 0 of them resulted in a fine or a technical. That's great. And then you got another like 30 times in a San Antonio series, but 0 of them. So yeah, that's the real problem, you guys. We don't need more rules. We need the current rules to be enforced.
Video that I'd made last year on Shea came down to the ultimate conclusion.
Because at the end of the day, when you win the chip, does it really matter?
Flopping, as it is now, is a winning play. Winning players make winning plays. That's been true forever, right? So all the NBA needs to do, right, is make flopping a non-winning play. But that's the thing. The NBA doesn't want to stop flopping. Hear me out. Okay. In 2012, after the Heat-Pacers series was punctuated by the Indiana...
By the way, I'm going to do the thing. Guys, Kip Comment channel. Link is down below in the description. If you haven't checked this channel out, I've seen about 3 or 4 of his vids so far. Fantastic. This is no different. I'm loving this.
Hear me out. In 2012, after the Heat-Pacers series was punctuated by the Indiana Pacers coach, Frank Vogel, accusing LeBron in Miami of flopping, which they were. LeBron was once known as LaFlop.
I forgot that was Vogel. And yeah, he was once known as the flop. We have his the next generation with SGA just like one-upping him at every corner now. And seeing SGA flop against LeBron, that was like a passing of the baton moment. Kind of like how Jordan passed the baton to Kobe. This was like the new version of that. Like, you have outflopped LaFlop. Congratulations. The league is yours, SGA.
ESPN had an all-flop team. David Stern had seen enough.
Yeah.
It's not a legitimate play in my judgment. I recognize if there's contact, you move a little bit, but some of this is acting. We should give out Oscars rather than MVP trophies.
And that's why, even though David Stern was not perfect, he was not all-powerful, but that's why I miss him. You see the difference between what he's saying about flopping versus what Adam Silver did? Oh, it's not even bad. It's not even bad, you guys. Like, don't worry about it. The refs are great. I'm sorry. What is this world we live in, man? What is this world where everything that's obvious gets denied by powerful people? What is this world? It's right in front of our faces. We all see it. Stop gaslighting us, man.
Is what Stern said. So the next season, the NBA came up with anti-flopping measures, effective immediately beginning in the 2012-2013 season, where they gave a warning on your first flop, and then fined you $5,000 for each flop up to a cap of $30,000. At the beginning, the league was pretty alert too about enforcing this rule. In the first 2 months of the season, they called 12 flops, but after that, in the next 2 or so months, they called 4. In the playoffs, they started out with a $5,000 fine, but it wasn't enough. As ESPN writers said,
that's true. Yeah, if you at that point, if players are making just over $20 million, like stars, who cares about $5,000 at that point? You know, that's worth it to win a game. You're getting paid way more than that each day. Each day you're playing a game, like way more than that. So yeah, $5K. Why not flop to win the game?
time. How much of a deterrent is that for even mid-level paid players? Doesn't seem like much, if any at all.
Nah.
I say hike those prices up to the 6 figures starting with the second violation. You'll see some pretty legitimate play in that scenario. Another writer in the same article pointed out that perhaps the fines weren't so meager was because the players union wasn't gonna go for suspensions or heavy fines for flopping.
Oh, okay. Well, because I was gonna ask about the suspension, because that's what I would do. Suspend for 1 game for first violation, suspend 2 games for the second violation, third one, and I don't know off the top of my head what I would do. But something drastic, like you're going to miss 10 games, like unpaid. And I believe it has to be unpaid, like to sting a little bit, you know, to discourage this type of behavior. What do you guys think, though? What would you do?
Whatever the case may be, the penalties weren't strong enough. And in the playoffs, it was still flops galore, even with 7 players getting fined in that playoffs. David Stern even had to concede that, ultimately, the anti-flopping measures didn't work that well, and especially not in the playoffs. You're not going to cause somebody to stop flopping for $5,000 when the average player's salary is $5.5 million, and anyone who thought that was going to happen was allowing hope to prevail over reason. We could end it immediately if we decided to suspend players, but that might be a bit draconian at the moment. I think we have the data. I don't know if
let me do a quick thing of math here on my phone. Bear with me. Let's see. So we got 5,000 times 82 games. So a mid-level player makes 5.5. Average player is making 5.5 million. If I was a average player in the NBA and I flopped all 82 games, I got caught. I got $5,000 every game. That's $410,000. I'm still rich. Like, it's worth it. It's worth it to flop. He's right. But props to David Stern for calling it out and saying, like, yeah, it didn't work.
The stomach. And the late great David Stern was correct. The NBA
I'll rewind for that line.
The data. I don't know if we have the stomach. Yeah. And the late great David Stern was correct. The NBA from that time forward didn't levy a single fine over $5,000 to any player in the league, and flopping prevailed. By 2016, the NBA straight up stopped fining players for flopping, and by 2019, we had yet another full all-flopping team for the NBA.
Awesome.
Why exactly the fines didn't work is obvious, not strong enough. Why exactly they didn't give harsher penalties is also pretty obvious. The commissioner said it himself. The NBA didn't have the stomach. When they first introduced the fine in 2012, Billy Hunter of the NBA Players Association bucked against it big time, despite people like Steve Nash and Kobe Bryant being mostly favorable of it. The NBA is not permitted to unilaterally impose new economic discipline against the players without bargaining with the union, is what Billy said. But ultimately it didn't matter because the NBA just did it anyway. So then why didn't they have the stomach? The answer might just be that they were terrified of diluting the product. If LeBron, aka LaFlop, was suspended from a pivotal game because of a flopping violation.
Yeah, at this point, it becomes about, it does create a different problem. Then it might be bad for ratings, because if you had a LeBron out in the finals because of flopping, it becomes a real big problem, doesn't it?
There would be national, if not global, outcry. Think about load management just from the regular season. If the NBA took out a star in the playoffs for their own rule, it'd be a huge hit on both ratings and image. Whatever the reason is, the NBA remains soft on flopping.
But that being so drastic, you know, having a second to let that sink in, isn't that exactly what we want? Because it would be, it would cause such, such a roar between everybody involved in basketball, that wouldn't that make the player stop it. Like once they see the first star miss an NBA playoff game because of flopping, doesn't that send a trigger, the alert to everybody playing? Holy shit, I can't mess around with this. I'm going to really disappoint my team and our fans if I get caught for flopping in the playoffs. So isn't that what we want, though? It's harsh, yes. And the first person that'll be made example of, that'll be a crazy, harsh, pivotal moment in the NBA. But isn't that what we need in order for some actual change?
Till it got too far again, thanks to James Harden and his disciples. The NBA needed to, after 10 years, act again. Flopping had once more gotten out of hand, but once more, the penalties were weak. They would give you a fine of $2,000 in the big 2023 of the National Basketball Association. The average salary of an NBA player had doubled from 2013 to 2023, but the fine decreased. Oh, I guess they added a technical foul in game, but it wasn't even a real tech. You could get a flopping tech.
Okay, so when I said earlier that you get a technical and then a fine, I was not aware that fine was only $2,000. And they're still not doing it? They're still not enforcing it? And that's like the smallest slap on the hand for these guys. Just do it at least. Just fine them.
I guess they added a technical foul in game, but it wasn't even a real tech. You could get a flopping tech for 1,000,000 times in a game, and you wouldn't end up ejected. Just one free throw for the other team. It's soft.
What? So wait, you could get... He just said it. Hold on. Did I hear that right?
Technical foul in game, but it wasn't even a real tech. You could get a flopping tech for 1,000,000 times in a game, and you wouldn't end up ejected. Just one free throw for the other team. It's...
Oh my God, this is the softest rule I've ever heard. So yeah, you can get 10 of them. You can get 10 of them in one game. Be like, whatever. I just keep flopping. 2,000. That cost me $20,000, and we won the game. Great job, Silver.
Soft. The NBA admitted further it wouldn't be a tech used often. They fined 23 players for flopping up to January 26, 2024. Since then, they fined a grand total in 2.5 seasons of NBA basketball. 10 players. This season, they fined one guy. Malik Monk, NBA ref executive Monty McCutcheon, explained that this rule was implemented to cut out STEM. That is, secondary theatrical exaggerated movements. So what does that look like, and more importantly, not look like? Well, let's go to the official NBA rulebook.
On this first example, the highlighted offensive player, DeAndre Hunter, spins backward in an exaggerated and theatrical manner following minimal contact with his opponent, Peyton Watson.
And according to the official NBA rulebook, falling down on a shot is perfectly legal.
The highlighted offensive player, Duncan Robinson, attempts a three-point field goal, and the defensive player, Zaire Williams, challenges the shot.
I mean, if he fell down innocently, that's one thing, but look at his eyes. Where does he look at the second he doesn't hear a whistle?
After the shot is released, Robinson...
It's not innocent anymore. That's not innocent anymore. If he just fell down on accident, that's one thing. He fell down and is disappointed he's not getting a foul. He's not getting free throws. Okay? This shit ain't innocent. I don't want to hear the excuses anymore, you guys. Like, oh, maybe he just has twigs for ankles. Give me a break. Everybody in 2026, professional athletes have zero structure in their bones. Like there's just a couple of twigs in there holding these like, 200 something pound bodies together while they're running up and down the basketball court, jumping high, running fast, doing all this stuff, like cutting and pivoting and all this athletic stuff they do. They have twigs in there supporting their bodies. Give me a break.
Sits down in a reflexive action, but his reaction is not exaggerated, nor is it theatrical, and therefore no flopping penalty was needed.
Why you don't call?
Nor assessed here.
There is nothing wrong with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander falling down, because it is not secondary, it is not theatrical, and it is not exaggerated. Which then now brings us back to Adam. In his mind, the officiating is excellent.
The officiating is incredible.
Because they're doing exactly what they've been told to do. But anyone with 2 eyes, a passion for basketball, and human common sense can tell you that this should not be legal. The NBA has had many, many years to correct this epidemic, and they have surely accurately identified it internally. But what is the response?
Wow, yeah, that's terrible. Even if that was a defensive foul, back in the day, like, hold on. Let's see if we can get to the contact, okay? Dribble, he's driving. Okay, where's the contact? Right here? Wait, boom. Okay? Guys, don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to me. In the comments. Is he shooting the ball? Is he shooting the ball? Or is he driving to the basket? Okay? This is not a shooting foul. However,
to maintain the broken status quo. And I have a theory.
Yeah, I have a big problem with that call. And I see it all the time. Back in the day, in the 90s and the 2000s, that's not, you never get free throws for that one, man. Not unless you're over there, they're over the penalty.
As to why. Stay tuned. Remember when Adam Silver
but
was
also
asked...
remember, sorry, I'll back it up. Remember earlier on when I said that's part of the problem? The flopping doesn't always lead to free throws. So in this case, if you flopped enough times and you got enough calls and your opponent is in a penalty, then some trash like this does get you 3 free throws guaranteed, no matter what. You know what I mean? Because they called the foul. Oh, it's going to get you 2 free throws. I apologize. And 3 if they've really screwed up. But that's where it counts. It's constantly flopping is getting everybody in the penalty. And that's why the fourth quarter of any close game is always just a free throw contest.
Broken status quo. And I have a theory as to why. Stay tuned. Remember when Adam Silver was asked why watching NBA games was so difficult and expensive? And he essentially responded saying, if you're broke, you can at least watch the highlights.
I remember. Y'all remember? I remember. It's basically, he's going to say it. It's a highlights league.
There's a huge amount of our content that people can essentially consume for free. I mean, this is very much a highlights-based sport.
Yeah, you know what my brother told me at the end of, or right before game 1 of the NBA Finals? He said, this was, just the other day. He had DirecTV, right? That's how he was watching the games. And the day of game 1, he got a notification that you can't watch ABC. Like they ended the contract with ABC. So all of a sudden, my brother, paying customer all this time, can't watch the NBA Finals. Huge NBA fan, by the way, my brother is. He can't watch the NBA Finals, even though he's paying for the service. Because at the last second, it went, yoink, it's gone. So, Adam, sometimes it's not just that we can't afford it. Because I refuse to pay for all these different streaming services to watch these games. This is stupid. Give me one package. Give me a place where I can pay like $100 or something like that, and I get access to all the games. You'll get me every year. You'll get my business. This crap, and then at that point, my brother didn't want to like figure out. Oh, I got to get the ABC app. Oh no, that doesn't work. So I need to get like the ESPN app and then pay them. Then I need Disney Plus and Hulu. Like what the hell? How do I watch the game? And that's why I showed him the other methods of doing it. Because there's other ways. And they force us to find other ways. I want a place where I can have all the games in one spot. So I figured out how to do it. And I would have much rather paid for it. It reminds me of Spotify back in the day. Why won't you let me have a place where I can have all my music somewhere? You didn't. So I figured it out. 10 years later, Spotify comes out, and I've been a customer of Spotify ever since. Just give us what we want. You'll have a lot of customers.
Video covering the basic ineptitude of the NBA to provide a cohesive service of streaming to its fans. And the main reason behind it was basically because there was a bunch of people finessing old rules to extract more money from customers. It was and is an idiotic model that is the exact opposite of consumer-centered, which I think is hinting at what the NBA's true goals are. At the end of the day, they are catering to their customer, and that customer is not you or me, dear viewer.
Sportsbook?
It's not the NBA fan who wants to have the best possible viewing experience. It's not that. The real customers
Sportsbook?
are the broadcast partners, the league's governors, who are including now private equity firms, and league advertisers, which are, of course, including sports gambling companies. Why do you think the NBA bent over backwards to create the 3-2-1 lottery rule? It wasn't because we were complaining for years. No, it was because someone at BetMGM made the call. They said we need to know when players are going to play. No more of that load managing nonsense, no more of that tanking nonsense. Fix it now. And guess what he did? Adam Silver. With the non-response that came with the real pressing question concerning the NBA and affordability, Adam Silver sent a message. We don't really care about our customers. We don't really care about our fans. We're keeping it the way it is because it makes us more money. Watch your highlights. So what does the NBA even think about us, the consumer? Well, that's my theory. Engagement. They see us as drivers for engagement.
I see the point. And yeah, when it comes to hate watching, rage baiting, that gets the most engagement. If you're playing by like YouTube rules, that's how it's done. So this is no different because he's focusing more on the highlights and all that than he is on the actual games and the viewership there. It's interesting. It's interesting. What's scary is it might work. It might make him a lot of money.
This world where people engaging with a product equals advertising dollars, it does the NBA all the service in the world to keep people talking. It might be a little bit out there, but think about it. In this world, hate does much better at engaging people than appreciation or love. That's what Facebook found out and exploited with their social media algorithms.
Yeah.
It's the current framework of the ESPN playbook. It's how Donald Trump won the presidency. Anger has been shown time and time again to provide the most amount of engagement. I mean, think about it. In these conference finals where two potential dynasties are facing off against each other, all anyone is talking about is the flopping.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we did. That's all we were talking about. Yeah. Shit.
And maybe the way that the NBA thinks about it is that it's better to have people talk about flopping because there's more of them talking than there would be if there was no flopping at all.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. That's terrible.
If it was just Wemby versus Shea, there wouldn't be as many people engaged as is with Shea flopping too much. Tom Haberstroh, the author behind the Shea Fall study, said himself he was trying to defend.
If I think about one round prior and take OKC out of it, San Antonio versus Minnesota, there wasn't much to say. Actually, it was a fun series. You know, it was a lot of positive stuff to say. Ant-Man, toughing it out. That was a good story. But Wemby and the Spurs just being too much. I can't make 10 videos out of that. And then you multiply that by like hundreds and thousands of content creators and stuff. I see what he's saying because there was probably way more attention on, there was actually, I saw some numbers. There was way more attention on that conference finals between OKC and San Antonio than anything in 24 years. Would you look at that? The damn alien, his plan might be working.
SGA. He didn't mean for it to go negative, yet that's exactly where it went. And about all of the articles that he's made this season, including LeBron's 4 Hall of Fame careers, everything has paled in comparison to the fall study. Negativity breeds engagement. The NBA has shown that its #1 priority is money. I mean, it is a business. As the league's values continue to skyrocket, despite its declining ratings and whatever else is wrong with the league that people are talking about, there has to be a way to justify this growth, and the #1 way is through engagement, using its consumer base to rile up.
Problem is this is not a long-term solution. This is like, this is a cheap way to get some quick views. But then the idea of like, there's not going to be as many returning customers, it reminds me of like, restaurants that do like TikTok gimmicks, the craziest dessert you've ever seen. And then everyone is like, putting it on Instagram and TikTok, and it's, it becomes trendy and blah, blah, blah. It goes viral. But then after they've done it and they tried it, they took their picture in your restaurant. What's next? You've got no longevity now. Nobody even knows what your actual main product that you sell is. All they know about is this ridiculous thing that went viral. That's how I feel about this. If everyone is engaging short term about how angry we are about flopping, I know a lot of you guys in the comments say all the time, you guys don't watch basketball anymore because of this. And I understand. But isn't that reaffirming what I'm saying? It's hurting the actual product long term for some short term clicks. I don't think that's sustainable. I don't know. Sorry I'm talking so much in this video. I don't even know. This is going to be a long ass video, but man, this is like everything that's been bothering me for a while, all summarized in one video.
Online, thanks to the Thunder, is using its consumer base to rile up a storm online, thanks to the Thunder, is nothing but pure analytical data that the NBA can take back to its investors and say, look, we're more popular than ever. And those numbers are probably so enticing that it doesn't matter how they get
Wow, that was a good line. We're more popular than ever. Yeah, it's that whole thing. Like bad news is good news. Any news is good news. You know, any news is good for the product. Just get the buzz out. That kind of mindset.
Unless, of course, it's a secondary, exaggerated, or theatrical movement, but they cut those out, theoretically.
Yeah.
At this moment, Adam Silver is sharing another message with his non-response to Pat McAfee on flopping. He doesn't care about fixing it. The NBA is right where it wants to be. People are talking. People are mad. People are sharing. People are thinking about the league. And until some big buyer decides that they're fed up, nothing's gonna change. At least not radically. Because for the NBA, it just makes sense in dollars.
Damn, what a video. What a video. Guys, link is down below for his channel. That was a fantastic video, probably the best I've seen from him. And wow, props. Shoot. All I can take away now, you know, as I digest all this information is like, how do we avoid basically like falling right into their pockets, right into the palm of the NBA's hands? And all I can say is, if it's an official, man, I might get in trouble for this. Whatever, guys. If it's an official NBA product, aka it's official highlights from the NBA channel, or it's on one of their partners, whether it's ESPN, NBC, whatever else the hell right now. You guys know all the ABC, all the channels that they're on. If you see a video from them and it's about this, don't comment on it. Find someone else's video and comment on that instead. But if it's within the ecosystem of the official NBA product, then they're seeing every like, every comment, you know, every debate that's happening within those comment sections. They're seeing this as a win. It doesn't matter how negative. It doesn't matter if you say fire, you know, Adam Silver 1,000 times. You know, they're gonna take that as a win. However, I can tell you with how it goes, unless I get copyright claimed, that does not apply for my videos. They don't see it. They don't know it. It doesn't help them. It doesn't hurt them. You know what I mean? But everything that is official NBA, yeah, you are, all of us actually, because I'm guilty of this too. You know, I'll comment on like an NBA on NBC video or whatever. All of us who are doing that, we're actually reinforcing Adam Silver here. And I didn't think about that into this video, which is why this video was great in my opinion. But that's exactly how it works. But if you're going to like a Johnny Arnett video or like a Uncut Hoops or AOH or SCAP or whatever, yeah, we're not partnered with the NBA. Okay, so yeah, they don't count those as views or clicks or engagement that's in their favor. You know, they can't take that to a board meeting and be like, yeah, look at what we've done. We're more popular than ever. That statement was big when he said that. So that's all I'm learning now is be careful where I put my engagement. So it doesn't even look like they care about like views as far as the official product, like watching the actual game. They care about all the engagement that's happening and all the highlight reels, the short clips, all that stuff is what they care about. And that's what they're flexing on. And it makes sense because big tech corporations, you know, like especially the social media ones, which is almost all of them now, they all flex on how many users and members they have. And it's ironic because a lot of those end up being bots, not real people, but that's how they value their business, is how many people are involved in their business, essentially. So yeah, okay, so I learned something moving forward. And the good thing is because of YouTube, like 90% of the time, if I'm commenting on something on my personal account, like I'm commenting on, you know, somebody like an Uncut Hoops or, you know, a Johnny Arnett or whatever. And rarely am I doing it on an official NBA product, but I do about 10% of the time, and I'm going to cut that crap out. Anyways, so at the end of the day, it looks like this is by design. And I had that suspicion. I know a lot of you have that suspicion. And this is a good take as far as why. And with that, I'm going to head out. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you made it to the end on this one. I'm a little scared to click off of this and see how long this video is. But whatever it is, I guess it all had to be done. So I hope a lot of you guys watched it. I hope I get to hear a lot of your opinions down below in the comments, because this is a very deep subject. And yeah, all right, I'll get this out there to you guys. All right, guys, like the vid on the way out if you could. Hype the vid if you want to amplify this message. Subscribe if you want more content like this. Go check out Kip's channel. Link is down below. And most importantly, it's the be water, my friends.